Party time.
Hey, what's going on, man? Here for the party.
Yeah, I was kind of going for this thing.
Oh, there he is.
Get in here.
Oh, ready for
Right.
this?
All right.
What's going on?
Here's the thing. We were kind of going for this, like a playoff vibe.
A playoff what?
You know, like.
Yeah!
Yeah!
Guess who blew off his girlfriend's engagement party?
Oh yeah! Oh man, what a game!
What's going on? I got a jersey on. That was the dress code.
Yeah,
you got one on. He's got one on. The other guy had one on.
But they all have this thing in common, you know.
Oh, there he is!
There he is.
Was that a kid?
That's
How'd the kid get into the party?
That's the homie.
No, that's a kid, bro. I know that's a kid. How am I not invited, but he is?
Because this is a playoff party.
Yeah, a playoff what? No one else is getting in. Try to answer from you.
Oh,
No.
long time no see.
Forever, brother. Forever, brother.
Here. Oh man.
Look, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I know that it's been a rough year for us. We had 4 different starting quarterbacks this year. All of our superstars went on injured reserve. Come on, man. I need this.
Yeah.
I need this. I gotta do this, man. Come on. Just let me have
We're
fun.
trying to have fun.
So am I. Please.
Hey man, better luck next year. All right?
But.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
But. You know what? That's fine. I'll just go home and watch last year's Super Bowl. They say the most wonderful time of year is towards the tail end of the calendar. I beg to differ. The best time of the year is shortly after we open our new calendars. That's right, it's playoff season, and although I didn't get invited to the party this year, I'm still ferociously excited for the NFL playoffs. What's up, everybody? I'm Jordan Wright. Good to be back alongside Jesse Larson once again. Welcome to episode 5 of the Circus Catch. We're going to break down all 6 matchups for Super Wildcard Weekend. I am so pumped for our very special guest today. But first, there were a couple of championship games this weekend, Jesse. Why don't we go ahead and dive into that to get started?
Well, first, Jordan, thanks for bringing me back on the show after a week off. Now, let's talk about the first championship we had Sunday afternoon, the FCS National Championship. North Dakota State Bison trying to win their 10th national championship in 12 years. They like the Alabama / New England Patriots on steroids of college football. Well, it came up short. South Dakota State Jackrabbits, rather, taking the title 48-21 in emphatic fashion, winning their first title. But that wasn't the biggest blowout of the college football championships this year.
Clearly not.
The old FBS championship that I think we both saw last night, Jordan. Georgia and TCU, it didn't really go the Horned Frogs' way last night.
Yeah, there were a lot of people. I mean, in Central Valley, there's a good amount of people that actually go to TCU. I know personally a few people that went there that graduated from there. So there's a decent contingent, believe it or not, in this area that have connections or ties to Texas Christian University. I didn't know how to tell them that they were going to get their hearts broken because I knew, you knew, we all knew.
I mean, we all knew, but we were all I was pulling for TCU. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was pulling for TCU. Just something to get that SEC roll to end. But you could tell from the moment, the first snap, that first false start that TCU had, they were outmatched, outcoached, and just outmuscled the entire night. It is the biggest blowout in bowl game history, not just national championship history, but bowl game history. 58 points, 65-7, Jordan, in a national championship game.
How much of that do you attribute to Georgia having won it last year? Do you think that played into it at all?
I attribute a lot of it to TCU trying to bring a 3-3-5 defense against a Georgia one back offense and a Mackey Award winning tight end, a should have been Heisman Trophy winning quarterback.
Ooh, hot
And
take.
just be honest with you, I don't really think it would have mattered, even if they did try to like jump to a 3-4 or a 4-3 to try to put any pressure on Stetson Bennett last night. But I mean, there's not much you really can say that Georgia wins that game by at least 30.
A 7-point differential from last week with both playoff games was the smallest in playoff history. And this 58-point differential, like you said, it was the largest in bowl game history. So to go from the smallest to the biggest, I couldn't believe it. I would never have thought. I knew it was going to be Georgia, but I would have never thought we would have seen that big of a point differential. Let's start out west. Let's start in the Golden State. Let's start with Seattle, San Francisco. The two-parter in this season, obviously division rivals. The very first meeting that they had, Trey Lance was still behind center, believe it or not. San Francisco whomped on Seattle 27-7. Most recently in Week 15, with Brock Purdy behind center up in Washington, San Francisco took it to them 21-13. Jesse, in this matchup, I know that it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a single season, but the way I see it, Seattle is very run heavy, and rightfully so. When you have a stud like Kenneth Walker III, they love to run the ball with him. The Niners, however, have one of the most stout front lines in the league. They love to stop the run. I don't know how successful they're going to be at running the ball. They may have to turn to Geno to throw it, but even then, they have a pretty good secondary as well. So I don't know how much production we're going to see out of this Seahawks offense. The Seahawks themselves have one of the worst front sevens of any of the teams that are in the playoffs. They're not going to be able to shut down McCaffrey when he runs through them. And Brock Purdy behind center looks not only like he can handle it, but like he's astute. Like he is one of the better quarterbacks in this playoff run right now. What do you think about that?
Hey, man, I told you a couple weeks ago what I thought of Brock Purdy. And, hey, I don't
You
want
were
to toot
right.
my own horn. I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but, hey, I think I was right about this whole Brock Purdy situation.
Hey, let's give credit where credit's due. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you were 100% right on that.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, I don't think it's just a system thing at this point. He's comfortable in it, and he's showing the kind of talent that he has. Like, maybe he should have been drafted higher.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. He should have been drafted higher. It is a little bit of a system thing. He knows how to run that type of system. He's got great pieces around him. He has a fantastic offensive line protecting him in the pocket. And then he's got Christian McCaffrey to hand the ball off. And it's working so effectively. And like you were talking about with the Seahawks offense being predominantly run heavy, correct me if I'm wrong, but Seattle really struggled against San Francisco both games to run the football against San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So history suggests that they will have a hard time doing it a third time as well. And I can't see a scenario where Seattle is able to move the ball down the field effectively against San Francisco's defense to be able to contend with a stout San Francisco offense. It just doesn't seem feasible to me. I think this is one of the games that in the playoffs in this weekend that's going to be a bigger spread, and just it's more of a lopsided affair.
Yeah, I agree. This is one of the easier ones, at least in my mind, to shut down. You know, everybody gets a puncher's chance, and I'll give Seattle that, especially being a division rival. But the 49ers, they're by far the hottest team in the NFL coming into this. They're on a 10-game win streak. As far as predictions go, Jesse, I've got the 49ers winning confidently. I've got a 28-18 final score. 49ers win it. They go to round 2 and host a divisional game.
See, I'm a little more... what's the word? Confident, I guess, in a bigger blowout. I have a 35-10 San Francisco rolling up. They're at home. They have shut down the run game of just about every opponent they have faced in this 10-game win streak. And like I was talking about, Brock Purdy and this offense is just rolling through. And I just don't see it stopping. They are red hot.
If I'm gonna give Seattle anything, I would say, yeah, again, it's hard for a team to win 3 times in a row versus one opponent. It did happen. I mean, look at what happened to San Francisco last year. They went up against the Rams 3 times, and that third time they couldn't get it done. So it happens. Seattle, you got a puncher's chance. Jesse, the next matchup we have on our slate is Chargers and Jaguars. And I figured for this one we needed a little bit of extra help talking about it. And I couldn't go out to Duval, so I brought Duval to us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome for the first time on the Circus Catch, Emmanuel Thalerand. Welcome, welcome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, man. Yes. So excited to have you on. Welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm proud of you. I see what y'all doing, and I like that. I respect it.
Thank you so much. So, me and Jesse know you pretty well from our days of Full Sail. Why don't you go ahead and tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, like you said, we know each other from Full Sail University. Shout out them folks at Full Sail. They got us right. But here in Jacksonville, I'm known as ET. I'm an on-air producer. I'm one of the few people in Northeast Florida that's on air for 6 hours straight. I produced the morning drive with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser called The Drill. And then right after that, from 10 to noon, I produce Jaguars Today, which is a show that's on the flagship station for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm also a host as well as an MC. So I keep myself busy down here in Duval.
You sound incredibly busy. Dude, it's so awesome seeing all the stuff that you put out. I watch when you put out these different reels, and if I'm not mistaken, I saw the reel where you had your tailgate party. It looked like there were some familiar faces in there. Were there some big time names we might need to know about that we saw in that one?
Yeah. So first of all, that wasn't my tailgate party. I just went out to a lot of different tailgates. Like a lot of people, I put out a tweet saying, "Where's the livest tailgate at?" And people were just sending me requests. And as a man of the people, I try to fulfill all those requests by just joining their tailgates. So in that reel was Tony Baselli, he's on our show every Monday on The Drill. We have Breakfast with Baselli. It's a segment every Monday at 8 a.m. And someone who I look up to a lot, even as a kid, and who I've become close friends with, is Fred Taylor.
Yes.
Who was robbed, but he will be in the Hall of Fame real soon. So those are the two big names that was in the reel that I just posted.
Right on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this up and down Jaguars season? It didn't look very promising to begin the year, but as we went on, what do you think led to the success of the Jaguars down the stretch to get them to this position?
Well, it all started draft night when we drafted Travon Walker with the first overall pick. Myself, as well as a lot of people, we weren't happy because we felt like that draft pick was being based off of potential and not production. In the first game of the season, he came out big. He came out swinging. I want to say he got an interception or a forced fumble. He came out, it was a big play, first game of the season. However, we lost to the Washington Commanders. And the following 2 weeks, I think we were 2-1 after that. And then we went on to lose like 5 or 6 in a row. It wasn't looking good. We thought it was, same old Jaguars. We're going to be picking in the top 10, top 5, whatever. And then it just clicked for those boys. We finished the season with winning 5 in a row. And who would have thought that the Jacksonville Jaguars would have won the AFC South Division Championship? But as of this past Saturday, we swept the Tennessee Titans. That's something that we haven't done for a long time. We swept the Titans, and we are the AFC South Division champions.
Let's talk about the matchup that's coming up. This is obviously, as all the other games are this weekend, a rematch of a regular season game where Jacksonville whomped on the Chargers 38-10 in their house back in week 3.
Week 3? Oh, you mean week 3 when them boys
Yeah.
38-10? Yeah.
Maybe I should have let you bring that up. Uh, so that's what happened back in week 3. So we're looking at two teams that are definitely different from how they were then. Jacksonville clearly better than they were at that point in the season. Chargers kind of don't know what to think of them. They're very up and down, good overall. It seems like when they have one key piece of their machine missing, they don't perform up to their potential. Coaching also a little bit of a question mark with them at times. Brandon Staley, maybe not the best situationally as the season has proven. What do you think about this matchup coming up?
Well, whatever happened in the past, it don't matter. Now is when it matters. Regardless of, we beat them 38-3 or 38-10 in week 3. That means nothing because this is playoff football. The intensity changes. It's under the lights and it's win or you go home. The coaching, the players, everything, it changes. You play sports and you talk about game speed. Somebody can go and run a 4.40, and then you can have somebody that runs like a 4.640. But once you get on that field, that guy that runs a 4.6, he's out there flying like he runs a 4.3. So whenever playoffs comes around, it's just totally different. I mean, they're a lot healthier. They didn't have Keenan Allen then, so they're going to have Keenan Allen. Back when we played them, Herbert, I believe he was dealing with a rib injury, so you have a healthier Herbert. And let's not act like Herbert isn't a dog. Herbert is a dog. Austin Eckler, Herbert, Mike Williams, who unfortunately he's going to be playing for them, but it's going to be a good matchup. I see this being like a game where our linebackers and our secondary is really going to have to step up.
All right, fellas, I need us to all three of us put our picks in. Who are we picking to win this game? E, we'll start with you.
Oh, y'all gonna start with me?
Let's start with you.
My prediction is going to be a slobber knocker. It's not going to be a low scoring game. I want to say it's going to be Jags. I'll say Jags 34 or 28.
34-28 Jags. All right, Jesse, what do you think of this one?
Well, based on the struggles that Jacksonville had moving the football against Tennessee last week, I think it's actually going to be a little bit lower scoring than what he is predicting. I'm looking at a 21-17 Jacksonville win.
21-17 Jacksonville? Okay. So no disrespect, E.
Whenever you start a sentence with no disrespect, it tends to follow with blatant disrespect.
Absolute disrespect.
I was trying to soften the blow a little bit because I agree with Jesse on this one that the team is having some struggles moving the ball right now. And on paper, it does say that the Chargers are the better team. Maybe not as far as how they're playing right now because the Jaguars are definitely more on fire. On paper, it does say the Chargers are an overall better team. But I'll tell you what, I'm not going to go against Duval when Duval's in the house. I'm going to take the Jaguars in what is technically an upset with an overtime walk-off win, 20-17 in Jacksonville. Jaguars move on to the divisional round. How about that?
I like that.
So only disrespect as far as the high scoring, not the
man. I don't care.
The Jags.
I don't care if we win 2-0.
That'd be interesting to see, actually. But yeah, I get you. A win's a win. That's all that
matters. Well, we can talk about the Bills and the Dolphins all day. Of course, I'm a Bills fan. What more can you say?
Really?
But when a team scores 11 points and still wins a football game to get themselves into the playoffs, we're going all day. And there's nothing more you can say. Josh Allen and the Bills offense, Jordan, really? Really? Are we really going to talk about how Miami is going to run past Buffalo without Tua? Come on. I want to hear your rebuttal here, Jordan.
I'm
Come on.
I'm not saying Miami's going to win. I'm saying we have to talk about the game. We're talking about all of them. But here's the thing. Everybody gets a puncher's chance once again. Let's talk about how Miami could possibly do this, because the matchups that we saw this year, week 3, Miami won the game, albeit it was very early on in the season. Tua was playing full strength. The receiving core was at full strength. Miami beat Buffalo 21-19 in Miami. When Miami went up to Buffalo in week 15, let's not forget about that. Miami, I hate to say outplayed them, but it was pretty damn close to being able to say that. Buffalo won 32-29, but Miami showed that they weren't afraid to go up there and throw punches, in a manner of speaking. They did go up there and they balled out. They looked like the better team for a good part of that game. I'm not saying that's going to happen this week. I think we're going to see the best of what both teams have to offer, considering the massive amount of injuries that are piling up on the Miami side.
Yeah. And in all seriousness, Jordan, I'll put my bias aside to this one.
Sure.
The fact, the emotions that went into last weekend's game for Buffalo, obviously the DeMar Hamlin situation was just unprecedented, and just the whole situation really put into perspective the stage that Buffalo was on. And I look at that as a big stepping stone for the Bills to move forward. And looking at the situation, the injury situation that you were just talking about with Miami, especially with the quarterback situation, and then with Tyreek Hill's ankle situation, it looks to me like it's an increasingly more advantageous situation for the Bills. And that's not that is me putting all my bias aside. It's more and more advantageous for the Bills, more and more every day, or every hour, I should say, as we're looking at this.
Jesse, what's your prediction for this game?
Well, I'm never going to turn my back on my boys. I'm going to go 31-24. I gotta go with my boys here. Buffalo is going to roll on to the divisional round. I know we're going to end up meeting Kansas City again. So onwards and upwards. Bills Mafia, baby, all day.
I don't hate it. I think it's a little bit more low scoring because it's a cold weather game. I'm going to say Bills still win confidently. I'm going to say the score is going to be 24-15. And like I did earlier, 24-15. All field goals for Miami, especially if Skylar Thompson's under center.
Ooh. All right.
Well, here's the thing. I'm always going to give the other team that puncher's chance. Here's where I will give Miami a little bit of hope. Buffalo's offense has been a bit lackluster the last few weeks. We see last week we did have 2 touchdown returns against New England. Had it not been for that, they may not have won that game. If Miami's
struggles. Oh
yeah.
Sorry, Jordan.
No, you're good. You're good.
My goodness.
I get that's frustrating. If Miami's pass defense, which has been mediocre to say the least, if they can step up, they may hang on and may be able to take this one and surprise a lot of people. One of the more interesting matchups this week is going to be the Giants and the Vikings. This was a pretty recent rematch of a Week 16 game that saw the Vikings hang on to a victory 27-24. The reason that it's so interesting to me, Jesse, is because we have a couple of first-year head coaches in Kevin O'Connell and Brian Daboll trying to navigate the NFL playoffs for the first time as head coaches, but it's definitely not their first playoff experience. Vikings, O'Connell has experience last year with the Rams. He was a Super Bowl champion as their offensive coordinator. Obviously, Daboll with you guys in the past in Buffalo. So neither team, I would say, is playing their best football right now. We've seen sparks out of both of these teams, but I think they're both not quite on the struggle bus, but I don't think that they're playing to the best of their ability. So I think this is a huge opportunity for one of these teams to, obviously loser goes home, but they really have to shore up so that they can make a deep run into the playoffs, if either can. One of them is going to take advantage of mistakes of the other one. My prediction for this one, Jesse, is that the Vikings win a high-scoring game 31-27. What say you?
I actually have the same exact score, but
No,
I'm
you
going
don't.
the other. I do.
Oh,
I'm going the other direction with New York winning 31-27.
ooh.
That's funny. I have a 31-27 Giants victory.
That's
I
funny.
just don't like the way the Vikings have kind of finished the season down the stretch. I know everyone talks about, oh, everyone's 0-0. It doesn't matter. Everything's off the table. But I kind of think how you finish the season kind of dictates how you kind of roll into the playoffs. That's just my opinion.
Right, which is why I'm not picking the Giants.
Well,
I don't think either of them had a great end of the season, but yeah, I
they
totally get
didn't.
what you're saying. All right, so
But
we
I'm gonna push a little towards Brian Dable.
mhm.
He was our baby there in Buffalo for a little while, and I'm so happy that he finally got a head coaching gig.
Well, that's not why I'm picking the Vikings. I'm not doing it because of Kevin O'Connell. Okay, but here's the thing. As with the other ones, I'll go ahead and give some hope for the New York Football Giants.
New York Football
The
Giants.
the Vikings O line does not always hold up very well. If the Giants can attack the O line and get pressure on Cousins, they can force him into some bad throws. They give their offense a chance against kind of a subpar secondary. If Daniel Jones can find a way to get it to his guys, they may have a shot in this one. This next one, Jesse, is the one that I think is going to be the closest game of the week. I think this one should have been played on Monday night because I think it's going to be the one that's going to draw the most attention. It's two heated rivals going at each other for the second week in a row, and we saw the physicality of last game in full effect. Week 4, Cincinnati lost to Baltimore 19-17. Last week, Cincinnati got their revenge to win the AFC North outright 27-16. There was a coin toss on the line, and Cincinnati was not too happy about that. Had they lost that game and played Baltimore as the 3-6 matchup, there would have been a coin toss to see who had home field. And Cincinnati voiced their opinion that is not something they wanted to do. And in my mind, I said, how are you not going to beat these guys? Like, why do you care? You guys are going to beat them. They're plagued with the injury bug right now, especially at quarterback. Like, you're going to beat them, which they took care of their business, so it didn't matter at the end of the day. But here's what I will say. We're not getting any clarity on whether or not Lamar Jackson is playing in this game. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. The reason that Baltimore was able to get to this point was not only the way that their defense has been playing, which has been solid, by the way. The defense has kept them alive. When Lamar Jackson gets back on offense, he diversifies their offense in ways that no other quarterback in the league can, maybe outside of Patrick Mahomes. So, if Baltimore doesn't have Lamar Jackson, it's going to be very difficult for them to get one up on Cincinnati. It's going to be a much, much, much better game if Lamar Jackson isn't it, is all I have to say.
I have a hard time believing even Baltimore's defense can stop Joe Burrow right now. The man looks possessed. I'll be honest with you, Jordan. Like, straight up possessed. I have been watching and learning a lot from this kid in the time that he has been in Cincinnati, and coming back from that injury and then leading his team to the Super Bowl, and then coming back from that Super Bowl loss and just straight up dominating the AFC North this year. And granted, you're right, Lamar Jackson's been out for a long portion of the season, and Baltimore has kind of faltered on offense without his leadership. But Joe Burrow has led this Bengals offense in immense ways, and he's doing it in great style too. I don't think it matters that Baltimore's defense they might be able to keep them in the game for a little bit, but regardless of if Jackson plays or not, I think this game is Cincinnati's. I had a lot of back and forth of what my final score was, so I'm just going to kind of simplify, and I think it's going to be 28-17 Cincinnati.
Okay. So this one I think is going to be a lot more even than the last game. It is a playoff game. It is a divisional game. I think that it's going to be a lot closer than that. I think it's going to be 23-21. Cincinnati. I think these teams are a lot more evenly matched than people think, is what I'm saying, especially if Lamar Jackson's in the mix. Obviously, if he's out, that changes things a little bit. But full strength, Baltimore's going to give him a hard time. And it wouldn't shock me if Baltimore moved on from this one. As good as Cincinnati is right now, and as on fire as these guys are right now, I think they have a few holes, especially in that secondary. And I think that Baltimore can take advantage with the right quarterback. Let me be clear about that, with the right quarterback. Last game of Super Wildcard Weekend, Dallas and Tampa Bay. A lot of eyes going to be on this one. It's a rematch of Week 1 when Tampa Bay absolutely routed Dallas in their house 19-3. It is the most time between a rematch of all of these games that we have this weekend. So we saw two very different teams. So I'm not exactly sure what to expect in this one. But what I will say, looking at this one from afar, is who would I rather have at quarterback right now? A struggling Dak Prescott or a January Tom Brady? I would hate to be the guy, Jesse, who bets against Brady in January. And I know his team went 8-9 this year. I know that this is probably one of the worst teams he's had going into the playoffs. But the struggles with Dak are real. He's tied for throwing the most interceptions in the league. Not to say that that eliminates you from the playoffs. I mean, look at Stafford last year. He had the most interceptions and won a Super Bowl. Again, bringing my Rams into this where they have no business belonging. But Dak missed 5 games. To miss 5 games and get to that record, that's not a good sign. I'm going to dub this game the Turnover Bowl. It's got that title written all over it, and here's why. We have 2 of the most greedy secondaries in the league playing against each other. So this game, I feel like, is going to be very heavy on takeaways. I also feel like it's going to be a big battle in the trenches. Whoever can give their quarterback a cleaner pocket, Jesse, is going to be the team that allows their quarterback to make good decisions, to not have to throw it anywhere near any of the other team's secondaries. And that's going to be one of the key differences in this game.
That's fair, Jordan. I think Dallas has the better running game, though I do think Leonard Fournette is a good back. I think the tandem of Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard is a little bit better going against the front 7 of Tampa Bay's defense, because I think Dallas's defense is a little bit better at taking the football away than Tampa Bay is. And even though you're right, never count out Tom Brady in the playoffs. Just don't do that. Don't count out Tom Brady. You never do that. But I don't know if Tampa Bay's defense is good enough to get that Tom Brady level to the next round.
I watched Tom Brady beat vintage Tom Brady a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to count last week because it was a game that really didn't matter. The starters got pulled fairly quickly. Yeah. I also watched Dallas play Washington last week, and I saw what Dak was able to do with the ball, which was absolutely nothing. It is going to be, I guess, what people would call an upset, but the way that Dallas is playing, I don't really think it is that big of an upset. My prediction for this one is that Tampa is going to edge Dallas 16-13 and move on to the divisional round.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other direction, and I'm going Dallas. I 16-14.
Ooh.
I think it's a field goal right at the end. It's going to be tight all night long. It's a primetime Monday night game. It's going to be close all night long. Like you said, battle in the trenches. Dallas gets a takeaway right there at the end, and they're going to kick a field goal and win it right at the end.
Here's where the Cowboys fans can have some hope from me. If they go blitz happy, which I think they absolutely should, their secondary will take care of itself. Go blitz happy, make Brady uncomfortable, especially if you get pressure up the middle. That's what when Brady is known to falter. Get pressure up the middle, make him uncomfortable, make him make bad decisions, and you can move on to the next round. Thank you guys so much for checking out episode 5 of the Circus Catch. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we've got it. E, thank you so much for coming on. It was great having you on. We're going to have you back definitely soon.
The pleasure is mine, gentlemen. The pleasure is mine. I'm happy to see that y'all are doing this still. Keep at it. it's only going to get bigger and better.
You're awesome, man. Glad to see that you're doing big things, that you're out there, you're busy all the time. And just that you've had the amount of success that you've had at this point, and it's only going to get bigger from here. Jesse, thank you for coming back on. Missed you last week. Can't wait to have you back on again next week as well. And for us in California, Oklahoma, Florida, all over the country, we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.